Hello, welcome to my little paintbrush. I'm Miss Sarah, and today we get to paint Inside Out. Some of my favorite characters. Love the movie, love all the feels. This is going to be a good one. These are the three that my kids chose, and so I hope you have just as much fun as me painting it. We're going to be using a lot of fun colors and learning how to mix colors and put it on a canvas so it all comes together and looks so colorful and fun. Remember to just enjoy the process and have a good time. We're learning together, and it's not going to be perfect. It's going to be uniquely yours, and I want you to be proud of yourself, okay? I have a couple of brushes I'll be using today. I have a large flat, looks like this, and I also have a smaller flat. This is a round brush, and this right here is a detail brush. I'll be using these. You use what works for you. I also have a jar of water, and my paint is all laid out on a plate for me. Looks like this. Put all my colors out so I can get to them easily and mix without contaminating all my colors at once. So I encourage you to do that. And remember, since this is a recording, you can go at your own pace. So you can forward, go back, pause it. I'll be keeping a steady pace, so you do not have to try and keep up with me. I may even be too slow for you. Who knows? Okay, so do what works for you. Let's warm up first with our face color here, right in the middle with Joy. We're going to get that started. So grab a small flat or whatever flat you have that you like best. Put it in some water because we want to just loosen those bristles and also get them nice and damp because our acrylic paint is really thirsty. All right, get my water closer to me. And we want to get, oh, I splattered her already. We want to get her face started and drying. And we'll be doing this in steps, so hopefully it will dry for you as we go. And you won't have to stop for too many pauses. All right, so I'm going to grab my smaller flat brush first, and let's create her skin tone. You're going to see a gold color. This is called raw sienna. We're going to be using this with some white first. I like to scoop up some white and just mix a little bit of it at a time with my white. That way I can decide what shade I want it to be. I want it kind of a gold color, but a lot lighter. Okay, so I'm going to just keep mixing this until I'm happy with the shade. You want to make sure you mix enough that you can cover her whole face and not have to try and mix more color to match the shade that you've created. That can get a little bit tricky. But I like that shade, that looks good. Okay, so as soon as you're happy with the shade, you're just gonna start up top here, and we're just gonna fill it in. I'm gonna try and be really careful to not paint inside her eyes or her hair, just so I don't lose the outline. I wanna be able to see the outline for later on. So I'm just gonna do my best to try and go around that. If you accidentally paint inside, it's not a big deal. That's okay. It happens. No worries. Just as long as you can see the outline, you should be all right. Okay, so let's go right across under the eye there. I'm just gonna brush it in. You can get pretty close. You may even be able to paint over some of your lines and still see them. And if that's the case, then perfect. That's great. Don't want you to lose it if, you know, there's a chance that you can. Okay, so let's go around, get up. I'm using the toe of my brush anytime I need to get into a smaller space. The toe is this pointy part, very tip of your brush. You just turn it and use it to paint into smaller spaces so I don't have to change brushes. You can use the same brush to do all of it. Okay, now once I do that, let's do her neck. Paint the neck here, coming straight down from the head and around. And then her arm, brushing it around like a rainbow shape here. And then one thing we love to do at our studio is wrap our canvases. So if you want to, you can paint the bottom of her arm on the bottom of your canvas. So you can bring it all the way around. It just looks kind of fun when your painting follows the canvas around. Okay, we'll do the other arm here, all the way up. Now I'm just going to brush and make sure all of those little thick brush strokes are brushed in. We don't have any clusters or clumps anywhere. We have a good layer on her skin for her skin tone. Looks pretty good, right? Okay. Let's see. All right. Looks good to me. We're going to let that dry. So I'm going to rinse my brush. Really good here. And while that's drying, we're going to put our first layer of over here on Anger. We're going to put our first layer on, and it's actually going to be yellow. So you're going to take your yellow here, bright yellow, okay? Add a little bit of white to it, not a lot, just a little bit, like that. And what you're actually going to do is go up to his flame. And the nice thing with yellow is it's transparent. You can see right through it. So all I'm going to do now is fill in this whole flame with yellow. Just fill it all in. Okay, like that. All the way over. There we go. First layer is on. We're going to let that dry. Okay, and now we're going to go ahead and do his head while this is drying. And I'm going to do the head with red. We're going to add just a little bit of white to our red. I didn't rinse my brush. I left the yellow in there. You can rinse it if you need to. Now, if you add too much white to that red, it's going to turn pink. And Anger is going to be nice and pink. And if you're okay with that, that's all right. But if you don't want him to be pink, be sure to just use a touch of white at a time. Now let's start at the top of the head, and we're going to just brush across here, doing our best to give ourselves a nice smooth line, which is not easy to do. So just be nice to yourself as you paint and create. And when you do the eyes, go straight across the top of that outline, okay? Straight across the top. And it comes down in a triangle shape. See that? It meets in the middle. Like that. Okay, these eyeballs, that eyeball goes right off the canvas. So what we're going to do now is once you've created this triangle shape, we're going to go around the bottom. So those eyes are smiling. And right down the middle of each side. Right around. And it's okay if you accidentally paint inside the eyes a little bit. We'll come back with white. Just doing our best, right? Now I can still see the outline of my mouth. If you've lost it a little bit, you can always stop and retrace it in with a pencil or something so you can see it. Or wipe it off with your finger. Okay, we got the shirt here. We're going to come down to the top line of that tie and back up. Follow that collar. So go down to the top of the line for your tie there and back up. Okay, and I'm brushing this out. Now you might need 2 layers of red depending on how much white you put in your paint and how thick your paint is. If you feel like you need another layer, go for it. Just wait for this layer to dry before you do. Okay. If you have enough white in your paint, a lot of times you won't need another layer, but it just really depends. Everyone mixes a little bit different, so Okay. I'm just brushing in all my paint now, making sure I don't have any clumps. You can wrap the side of your canvas right there as well. Okay, there you go. We're gonna let that dry for a minute. And then while it's drying, let's finish our flame. Okay, so what I'm going to do is next mix some orange. I've got my yellow on there, so I'm going to do is mix a little bit of red and yellow together to get an orange shade. You need to rinse your brush sometimes if you have too much red in your brush. It won't turn orange very quickly. So just make sure if you need to, you rinse your brush, okay? All right. Now our center flame here is orange. It's gonna go right over it. You'll need 2 layers, so that's why we're doing one right now. Paint right over that yellow and it brightens it up even more. One of my favorite things about painting flames is I love to add that yellow because it just really makes it pop. Okay. This is just layer number 1. Get it on there. Perfect. Now once that's done, okay, we're going to add a little more red to my brush. And we're going to paint this very top layer red. All the way up to the top of your canvas. And you can wrap it, of course, go all the way around. Keep on going up and wrap the top of your canvas as well. And come all the way down here. Curve it out all the way up next to her Joy's hair. You're going to have Joy's hair wrap around right there, so I'm not too worried about where that's lying right now. Come back to it later. Oh, don't want to lose my curve though in my flame. I like that curve. There we go. Perfect. Okay. Brushing over everything now, making sure we have a nice layer. Everything is covered and it's not drippy or clumping anywhere. Looks so good. All right, now, once that orange is dry, just want to make sure we have a nice thick amount. We have a bright popping orange here in the middle. So I always go over it and just make sure it looks good. Awesome. There we go. Let that dry now for a minute. It's all going to come together. Okay, I'm going to switch brushes to a detail brush and I'm going to finish up this tie with the same red I used for anger. Okay, so let's just paint the tie here. You can see all these lines coming through, right? Okay, so what we're going to do first is start in this corner and outline the shape. So you have one triangle shape here. I'm going to fill that in. You can just follow me with these shapes. You have that one there. Okay, let's see here. I like to just make sure that this whole thing is completely outlined. So I'm going to bring my tie in here. outline it, okay? That way you can see it really well. All right. Okay, so we have another line. Let's make sure I'm getting it right for you. Yep, okay. So now we're gonna skip this line here. This gets a little bit confusing. So I just wanna make sure you are not too confused here, okay? So we're gonna connect this line here. Follow it all the way across. Another thing you can do too is just paint the whole tie red and then add the lines in later if this is too confusing. It's up to you on what works best for you. As I know for me, I'll paint the whole thing red sometimes and just do it that way. Okay, but once you do that, those two things there, it gets a lot easier. So now we have this shape. We're gonna go back to the other side, create another triangle shape. I'm not worried about having those lines perfect or anything because we're going to come back to it. Okay, now we have this triangle shape here, all the way across. Oh, sorry about that. I knocked something there. Create your triangle here as well on this side. You're just going to go back and forth creating that triangle and filling it in. Last one on the bottom. Goes right off the canvas. Your last triangle shape. Okay, now just make sure everything's filled in the way you like. There's no clumps. Looks good. All right, I'm gonna rinse my brush, let that dry for a minute. Looks awesome. Okay, now I'm looking at my flame and I'm just trying to decide if I want another layer or not. I think I do on my orange, so I'm just gonna put one more layer on my orange there. And then same with my red. I think it's looking so good. Let's rinse our brush and let that dry for a minute. Let's go over to Sadness for a minute. Let's put in her face color. Okay, now hers is a really light blue, right? So we want to take just a touch of our blue at a time, mix it with some white, and you'll notice that a touch of blue goes a long way. So we just got to be careful about how much we use. There we go. Pretty good there. I want to keep her face pretty light so that her hair will really pop. So I try to mix quite a bit of white in there. Like that, okay? All right, let's start at the top. Let's fill in. I'm using the toe of my brush. If you want to use a smaller brush, you can. Of course, do what works for you on that. Okay, we're going to just fill it all in though. I'm trying not to cover her eyes so I can see them. But we're going right along Joy's hairline, or head, I guess. Now she does have her glasses, which we don't want to paint over. We want to really be careful not to paint over the glasses if we can help it, just because you want to be able to see those lines really well. So what I do is I get up close, but I don't cover them. I get up pretty close to those glasses, but I try and be really careful not to cover that outline. Okay, so just like this, we're going to come up close to that line. but not paint over it. There we go. Do it with the other one as well. Get up close, but don't cover it. Same with the mouth. I just don't want to lose the placement there. It will just help you so much later. Do the same on this, on the inside of the glasses as well. So I'm getting up to that line. Going around the eyes. Remember, these eyes are round, so you can go, even if it doesn't have an outline, you can go around them and know you're safe. Like that. Let's do this one as well. And get up close to that outline. And you'll have a little space because guess what? Those glasses are kind of thick. So it's okay if you have kind of a thicker line showing. It's not going to be a problem for you. That's just great. All right, there we go. Brushing it out now, making sure we have all of our layers on there. Like that. Ooh, have to focus a little bit here. Make sure everything's good and layered. There we go. It's okay if you get different shades in some areas with the blue. That's what adds texture and some dimension and movement in your art. So great. So you can just let that be. I do love, and there's a little tip for you, I like to focus my darker shades along the edges. So if I have darker blue on my brush, I'll focus it along the edges of my paintings to draw attention to the center. So like along the bottom of her neck here, I might have some darker blue on my brush, and I'll just brush it in along the bottom just to draw the attention to her face. Now, looks a little scary right now, but it's all going to come together. Let's go ahead now and do her hair because we have the blue already going. So I'm just going to now mix a little bit of white with blue. I want to keep her hair dark. So I didn't rinse my brush. I just went right into my blue. I'm going to keep it nice and dark, okay? And let's go right along the top of her head here. Go right down. She has a little part, so I just go right over the part. I curve each side separate, which helps give the illusion that her hair strands are curving in a certain direction. Like that. And then you can come around and paint the side as well if you want to. Okay, and then this comes down. And we're going to brush her hair as if you're using a hairbrush. So go in the direction you feel her hair is flowing. Right? We'll add those outlines and everything. That will bring it all together in a little bit. Right now we're just getting that basic outline or that basic layer, that foundation on our painting, and then we'll build from there. So let's let that dry now for just a minute. Looking so good. So good, guys. Okay. Love it. While it's drying, let's use the same color that you used on her hair and her eyes. So grab your detail brush And we do this together so you're not trying to match the colors again. Okay, now the eyes, you're just going to do the center. I'll outline it so you can see it. Okay, right now you're just doing that center part. It's gonna look a little creepy. But we're just gonna do the center part first. Add that on there. That way it's matching her hair. There we go. I like to outline it first so you can see the outline and then fill it in. Like that. And yes, it's a little creepy, right? Just a little right now. Oh, it's okay. It will all come together. Got a clump of white in there. So, all right, there we go. Looking so good. We do need to do the glasses, but I want the face to be totally dry before you do the glasses. So we're just gonna let it keep drying for a minute. All right, and while it's drying, we are gonna go over to our background. And our background is purple. So I'm going to take my purple now in a flat brush, and we're going to mix some white and purple together like this. Okay. You can decide if you want a light purple or a dark purple. I wanted my purple pretty light. It's a lot lighter than the purple that we had started with there because I added a lot of white to it. Now I'm just going to quickly put the color on. Then I'll go and get up close to my image. We want everything to start drying, and while it's drying, we're going to go ahead and paint in our background. A lot of times you start with your background, but because of all the little things we needed to get drying on here, we didn't. Okay, now here's the little trick with making it look like your image is glowing a little bit. You're going to take your brush that has that purple on it, put some white on the corner, face that corner towards your image, and brush along the image. And you'll notice that it's lighter along those edges. I love doing this because it's an easy way to draw attention to your work without a lot of effort. I just smooth it out. Now purple is a very transparent color, so if you feel like you need a couple of layers on that background, it's all right, you go for it. All right, good to go ahead and do her other side here. I'm gonna follow this flame right on down to her hairline. Now we gotta do this other side as well. Oop. Trying to get right up close to my easel here. A lot of times I'll hold my painting so I can do those close things. So when I'm doing it up here, sometimes it's a little tricky for me to get those little tiny details done. But I think we did it. There we go. And I always want to do it before I paint her hair because her hair has all these little detail things that come into the background a little bit. Now, one thing you can do is add some fun little streaks to your background with that white. And the way I do that is I put a little white on the corner of my brush. I'm just going to brush it in there just to add some movement to our painting. So fun. You can add as much or as little as you want. There we go. Looking good. Now let's let it dry for just a minute. I'm going to rinse my brush. Looking awesome. And while that's drying, let's go put some pants on and a shirt over here on Anger. Finish him up. Our shirt on Anger is white. So I've just got a clean flat brush here, loading it with white, and I'm just going to paint right over his shirt. Don't want to lose the color or anything, but I'm going to paint over it with some white. You can outline it, or I'm also going to show you how to add just a little shadow that adds just a little detail to it. But I like to do this. So what I do is I have white on my brush like this, and then I'm going to take just a touch of black and put it right on the corner. See that on my brush? Just on the corner, okay? And it does this when I brush. So you kind of see it fading, okay? So now you can also mix some gray if you want to, and it helps. So I'm going to follow the bottom part of this color right up. It adds a little shadow here. Just like that. You're going to outline it, so if you prefer to skip this part, it won't make a huge difference. I love adding some shadow when I can because it does give your work some dimension. Just going to add a little bit under the chin. Like that. Okay. And a little bit around the tie. But you want to be careful not to let it overpower your painting and then you no longer can see the white shirt. Now you have a gray shirt. It happens. I've had it happen to me many times. Okay, if it does. There we go. So you're just going to add a little bit of that shadow wherever you feel you would like. These are my favorite places for it, but you can get creative. I just add it wherever I feel like there's a fold in the shirt, or his chin is casting a shadow along the top, or his tie, anything like that. You're going to add a little bit of shadow under it, okay? And again, you can just take some white and some black. You can mix it and make a light gray like this, and go right along the edges with that light gray. If that's easier for you, it's perfectly okay too. All right, so now we're going to come over here to Sadness for a minute, and we're going to mix some gray, just like you did over here. Under your collar, it's a similar color. It's just white and some black. Make yourself a nice light gray, you know, to go with her mood. And we're just going to brush it in her shirt here. And if you don't want to lose your outline, again, just go up close, but don't completely cover it. Okay. there, right there. And I like to brush in the direction of the clothing. So she's wearing a sweater and it's laying down and it's folded over. And that yarn is folded over the material. So I go in the direction that I feel it would be folded. So my brush strokes are moving that way. Along the bottom here, you can go all the way around and wrap your canvas. Got one more right here along the top, next to her hair. Just like that. Okay, and again, you can add a little bit of a shadow if you want to. I just add a little bit of black on the corner of my brush like this. Okay, and when I do, I just left that gray on my brush. I'm just going to kind of brush right along the edge. It's pretty dark right now, so you can see it. Because I feel that because Joy is in front, she's casting a shadow here. Okay, and then you have a little bit of a shadow right under Joy's chin there. I'm going to follow across with a little bit of a darker shade. This is again just very optional, just if you want to try to add some shadow to your work. It's really fun to try and to learn. And I'm going to just brush up a little bit along the lines of her sweater. We'll outline them, but I like to do this as well for dimension, to show that her sweater is folded right there. And again, if you prefer to just outline this, we have a lot of artists that do that and it looks just great. These are just extra little things that you can do to add a personal touch or learn a new skill. But just remember, you put a little bit of black on the corner of your brush, and it takes some practice. So you got to be nice to yourself. It takes a little bit of time to learn. And remember, with painting, you can always go back and paint over it if you don't like it. So it's never just over and done. There you go. There's her outline all done. Or her shadowing is all done on that sweater of hers. So now you're just going to outline it later. But for now, we're going to let it dry. And we're going to go do his pants. So let's take some brown and add a little white to it. It has these brown pants. And the pants may take 2 layers. Brown is another one of those colors. It's very transparent. So it's possible that you will need 2 layers for these pants. I know I do usually. Okay, and go straight across, just right along the top of the line. Like that, we're going to fill it in. Go to the other side. You can wrap your canvas here. Go all the way around. If you want to paint the sides and the bottom with these pants, brown, going around. And you can see how light it is, and I like a little bit of a darker brown, so I usually add another layer after it dries. But for now, we'll let it just dry. Okay, and then while it's drying, let's go up to his eyes, and let's add that brown to the eyes, same color as his pants. You can add some red to the brown if you want the eyes to be a little more red. I know when he gets angry, his eyes have more of a red tint to them instead of brown. So that's kind of fun to do too. If you want, you can go and just add a little bit of red to your brown. Okay. add this first layer on there just so it can start drying, because usually the brown does need 2 layers. So I'll add another layer after it dries. And we're just doing that middle rainbow shape or smile shape in the eye, the eye color. Looking a little creepy. Okay, so let it dry for just a minute. Let's go do Joy's. Oh, you know what? I almost forgot, and I'm glad I didn't, because I always do this. So with those pants, before you move on, use that detail brush, because Joy, her dress comes down right here, and those pants are peeking through. It's an easy little spot to forget, but we don't want to, because it does add some separation there with her arm, and his pants are kind of peeking through, so we're just gonna make sure we don't forget that part. All right, that's better. Okay, now let's take our flat brush. We're gonna use some green and some yellow. We're gonna make Joy's dress color. I love her color. It's so bright and happy. So I have this yellow here that we're gonna take, and we're gonna add a touch of green to it at a time, just a touch, because it is the strongest lime green. Now, once I get that, I'm going to add some white to it to kind of brighten it up a little bit. See what happens when I add the white? So much brighter. Perfect. Okay, and you can keep mixing and make this the shade that you want. That's just what I wanted, so I'm good. I'm going to go ahead now and just paint on her dress here. Fill it in, give her her little sleeves and her collar. Such a fun color. Love it. Right up there. Brush it out. You can wrap your canvas right there, just to make sure. So her sleeve. Just going to float a little bit of that darker green along the edge so you can see it. I'm going to paint over it more. Should be able to see it pretty well now. You're going to outline it, so you don't necessarily need to do this, but if you want to, you can brush in a little bit of a darker shade. I'm just making sure. I'm going to brush most of it out. Just make sure you have a good layer on there. Okay. Ooh, looking good there. Love it. So cute. That's it. That looks good. All right, let's let that dry a minute. All right, now we're gonna go ahead and do her hair. Now to do her hair, we're gonna mix some colors because it's not just blue. It looks like it's just blue, but it's not. It actually has some phthalo green in it. Okay, let's see. So I'm gonna take, let's move this blue over here. Easier to see it. I'm making such a mess. Okay, so I have my blue here. I'm going to add some white, mix it in there, and I'm actually adding green to her hair. Her hair shade here, some of this phthalo green. It gives it almost a turquoisey look. So this phthalo green, the reason I have this here, this phthalo green turns to this turquoise, okay, if you add white, right? So it turns into that. So you have this, you don't have this turquoise in your cup if you have our paint kit. This is to show you, if I add green to my blue, it's going to give it more of a turquoisey look to it. See that? It's pulling in some turquoise and changing that shade a little bit, which is really what I want. Like that. See that? So pretty, but it's a different shade from Sadness. A little bit different from her. Now I just have to decide if I want more white in it or not. I think I do. But you can keep mixing until you love the color. I feel like I like that shade. I think that's good. Okay, you start painting and see if you like it. Because sometimes you'll start painting and go, oh, not quite the shade I wanted once you see it on canvas, you know. Need some water. Mine is drying up on me. Okay, need a little more water on there. Make it a little bit, I'll add a little white to it. There we go. Wanted it a little bit lighter. So pretty, right? Love it. I want it a little lighter though. I'm adding even more white to it. So you can play with her hair until you get it the shade you want. But I'm using the blue and mixing it with some green to get her color. And use the toe of your brush. We're going to come back and give her a nice point later. But right now, we're just getting the basic outline on. There we go. Brush it in. Use the toe. Come as close as you can to that point. There we go. Rinse my brush. Some more water on there. These lights just dry up my paint and my bristles on my brush so fast. So I have to rinse it pretty frequently. All right, here we go. All the way down. Just keep brushing it out. And we'll get those fun points on her hair in a minute. All those fun little curls and stuff that she has in her hair. We're almost to it. Make sure we get all of this filled in first. And then her cute little curls, they come up. And then they come down. Down. Oh. Whoops. There we go. What did I do? There it is. Curve that around. There it is. Couldn't get my brush to move for me right there. Curve it around. All right. Now we're going to come over and do the side of her hair right here along the side. Just a little bit. We'll use a detail brush to get up closer in a minute. Okay, so now that we have that in place, what we're going to do is we're going to take a little bit of white on our brush here. Let's put a little white in there. And I like to add some white to the hair, some brush strokes. Just to give it a little bit of movement and color, different shades. I'm trying not to overbrush because I want to leave some of those shades and that texture in her hair. Okay. Right. And then we're going to take this dark blue, put on the corner of your brush, just the dark blue. Okay. And we're going to go along the edges and float the edges with some dark blue. You can also use a detail brush if you want. If it's easier for you to do that instead of floating. The reason I float is I like for the blue to kind of fade into her hair like that. So you get different shades. So I'm just following that edge. Okay, and the trick is to just keep it on the corner of your brush. Not to put it over all of it, just the corner. And if you end up getting too much, it's okay. Just brush it into her hair like this, so you can just kind of brush it in. And she'll just have different shades show up, which is really fun, and it's kind of, that's the idea. You want to have these fun low lights and highlights happening in her hair. She just has the best hair. I love it. It's so fun. So I'm going to follow the outside of the hair here, this outline, with that blue right here, dipping the corner, following it around. Oop. Getting kind of messy. There we go. Okay. Then we'll come along the top too. That's why I don't worry too much when I'm putting the main color in, because by the time we're done floating everything and getting all the color on there, it all comes together. Okay. Just brushing it in. Make sure everything blended together. I think we got that. I like to add just a few little swirls in the hair. Give it some shading and texture there. And then we'll add some on this side too. We don't want this one to be left out. There we go. Looks awesome. Love it so much. Okay. Now I do need to finish up her hair on this side. It just follows along the edge of her face there. So we're just gonna come over here and just finish it. You can come down as far as you want. I just kind of followed her little head around and let it fade out. Just like that. And then we can do her the point of her hair if you want to, and kind of come around and finish it off. But I am going to outline it, so I'm not too worried. This is mostly so you can see how that point comes together. Just like that. These come down. Like that. Very cute. Love it. Okay, let's do her eyes while we have the color. Just like with the rest of them, we want to make sure we can kind of keep that color going. So we're going to do that center point of her eye. Follow it around. Need a little bit of water probably in mine. Mine is seizing up on me. So dry. There we go. Want hers blue just a little lighter. There we go. Do her other eye. All the way around. That's what we try to do without picking up our brush. It's really tricky. So now that I've outlined it, now I'm just going to fill it in. Awesome. Hope you love your blue. It's always different when I mix it because I never know what shade I'm going to get. Sometimes it's more turquoisey than other times, and sometimes it's more blue. But that's what makes her so fun for me, because I love to mix colors and just come up with a shade that's fun. So you can just have a good time with it. All right, then we're going to go ahead and do her shirt with the same blue as her hair. So I have my blue here. Okay. And all she has her little circle here on her dress. Okay, and you're going to imagine there's a little circle. If you want, you can always take a pencil and trace it in. Okay, but you're just going to want to start it here on this corner. I'll just kind of give you an idea. Okay, and then you have your center point, and you're going to give her little sun rays coming out. This all the way around, some long, some short, some are close together, some are not. Okay, there, and then we have one more here. I do like to kind of give myself an outline, because otherwise I end up with too many lines or not enough lines. And so if you do that, it just gives you kind of a guide. Okay, and then we're just going to add our little rays here. Oh. Woo. There you go. So fun. Okay, now there's her little rays. We're going to let that dry for a minute. Give her just a sec to dry. Super cute. Okay, while that's drying, Let's just make sure we have a good layer of brown on these pants over here. Right? We need to make sure we have a good layer on there. Because they are a darker brown, nice and rich. Dark brown. There we go. They're looking good. Now these eyes, again, you can add red if you want to. We're going to go ahead and finish those eyes. Make sure you have a good layer on them. Making sure we have all our layers. You can see with every layer it gets a little darker. Okay. Looks so good though. Look, it's so fun. All right, let's go over to Sadness really quick here. And we're gonna do her glasses. We're doing a dark blue for her glasses. And I want to make sure I add some water to this blue, so it goes on nice and smooth for us. We do our best, right? So remember, circles are hard, so be nice to yourself. We're just gonna follow it around as best we can. Like I said, usually I'm holding my canvas. So if you want to hold it to get a better steady grip and position for circles, do it. They're probably one of the most challenging things ever to paint. You really want to try not to pick up your brush as you go around, and it's very difficult. But the nice thing is you only have half of the glasses to do. We have them going right off, so you don't have to do a perfect circle. No one's going to know. Like, who's going to know that it's not perfect? Nobody. Can't even tell. Okay, so now right in the middle, we're going to do our little curve here. Just like that. And you did it. You did amazing. Yay. Let those dry for a second. We'll come back to them. Rinse your brush. Okay, let's go finish up this tie. You're just going to need some of that gray that you made a little earlier for Joy. Got this gray with the white and the black. These lines on the tie are made with this gray. So we're just going to go right over these lines. Follow the shapes all the way across. Before we outline, we just want to make sure this is on here. You're just zigzagging on down this tie. Little details that just make these characters what they are, you know? And this tie is one of them. This tie is fantastic. Now we're going to zigzag back down the other way. And this is why you can just paint the whole tie red and then just zigzag these lines. I have done that too. Just whatever is easier for you. Okay, we did it all the way down, just like that. Okay, now to separate the tie right here, I'm gonna add a little bit of black. See that? Just to show where that separation is. Okay, I'm gonna brush that out. Just making sure it's nice and covered here. There it is. Awesome. Okay, we're on the home stretch, guys. About to do our finish up work. All right, so we're just going to now float a little bit on Joy here. I'll show you what I mean. Make sure your brush is nice and clean. Don't want a dirty brush for this. It's hard to do because I am a mess. Okay, now we're just gonna float a little bit around the edges of Joy's head with a darker shade of that gold. So I'm just gonna put a little bit on the corner of my brush like this. Okay, see that? Okay, and we're just gonna float along the edge of her head. I need a little more so you can see it better. All right, there it is. Just like that. Doing this to give her some dimension and also so you're not having to outline everything later. I just need to wash my brush a little better. See if I can get this. Okay. So I put that gold on that edge, but I'm just going to brush over that because there was just a little bit. I don't know if you can see it. I can. A little bit of blue happening there from my brush. That's what happens when you don't rinse your brush really good. Get some random stuff happening. All right. There we go. Just brush over it real quick. Just don't want her face, her pretty face, to turn blue on me. All right. So let's use a little bit of gold on the corner. Okay, we're just gonna follow that head around. All the way around there. Perfect. Do some up by her hair. And then we're gonna do it around her eyes. And the other eye. The struggle on this with that paint. Don't want her face to turn blue on me. Goodness. There we go. I'm telling you guys, if you have any color in your brush like that, what happens is yellow shows it. And so you have to try and bring it back. Yellow shows everything. But I think I got it. Just have to brush over it again and again until I get all that blue out. But we saved it. All right, redo my edges there. And my eyes. I'm going to do around the eyes a little bit. The other eye. Okay. The hair. Now we got to do the neck here. Do a little bit around the neck. I want to do under the neck so you have a little shadow that's casting here. Joy, she has shadow under her neck there. Then we're going to go around the arm. Also adds a little more gold to her shading. She shines a little more. Kind of see how you just brush it in, but keep those edges a little darker. That's the goal. Take some practice. You just kind of play with it. This is what will stretch you a little bit when it comes to creating, learning how to add those shadows. Smile. All right, looks awesome. Okay, let's do all of our detail work. And you're about there. I'm so excited. It's gonna all come together now. Okay, so first thing we need to do, let's take some white here. Make sure your brush is nice and clean. I'm gonna check mine, and my hands are just a mess because I've been having way too much fun with this one. All the colors, there's just so many colors, so I just keep mixing and playing with my palette. My palette is just a mess. I hope yours is too, because that means we're having a good time. So I'm just gonna get some white here. Okay, let's get some white on our brush. And what we want to do is go to our eyes and just make sure our eyes don't have any paint in them where they're supposed to be white. So I'm going to just paint in my eyes with some white here. Anywhere I can see, I may have accidentally filled it in with some paint. Just make sure they're nice and white. Okay. Especially over here on Sadness, she has quite a bit in her eyes that I've got to clean up. It happens. Same with Anger, his eyes kind of filled in where it shouldn't be with red. Okay. Right along that edge, just fill it in. Make sure he's good to go for all the finish work. Nice. Okay. All right, I think I got it all. So now we're going to go to black and do our outlining. So grab your detail brush. Don't be afraid. It's going to all work so much better than you think. This is where it starts to come to life and you'll get to see your masterpiece. I'm going to add water to my black. You can see I'm dipping my brush in my water and mixing it with my black. I want it nice and thin. I don't want thick black. I want it nice and thin. It helps it go on so much better. Okay, and let's start at the top of our canvas. If we start at the top, we won't smear anything as we go. Always start at the top. Okay, and I'm just going to outline some things just so they pop a little bit. Okay, you'll see things better because they're outlined. They just stand out a little bit. You'll see things you didn't see before. But I'm not outlining everything, you'll notice. Just some things that I feel get lost a little bit. So we add a little bit of an outline to it. There we go. Okay, now we're going to start over here, working our way up Joy's head here. I'm losing my brush. Curving out her head. Getting shaky. So I don't go all the way around her head here. I just do this top little corner where I feel there might be a little bit of a shadow happening. Here we go. This comes up and around her head, right off the canvas. Then we'll start at the point and come right up there. More water. These lights are just drying up my paint. All right, now let's do this one. This one comes right up. And you can go as far as you want to on that one. I'm just following it around, and you can add these strokes to go however you want. So if you want bigger curls or longer, you can just bring that point out a little more. Okay. Lost it there. There it is. Okay. So right along here, let's go by her face. We're just going to come up. This just connects right along there and fades out. You can continue to outline it if you want to. I just let it fade out a little bit. This one we're going to come down and out right there. Kind of let it fly out the way her hair does. So cute. Curls up. Go. This one kind of curves down there. Love it. So cute. Now for her neck, I didn't outline the whole thing. I just kind of let it fade in and out. So you can if you want to. I just kind of curved it around like this and let it fade away. As if there's a little shadow under her. fade out. There we go. Looking so cute. It just really depends on how much outlining you want. I tried to keep it as simple as I could, but you can always do more if you prefer it. Okay. All right, let's give Joy a break for just a minute. And we're going to come over to Sadness. Now we're going to split up her hair right there. Bring her part over. Her hair comes down. And this is where I just like to kind of break up her hair a little bit. And we're just going to add some strokes in here, like this, if you'd like to. And I just add a couple here so it looks like, you know, her hair is kind of flowing a little bit. However you want to, though. And then for her outfit, you can go all the way across or you can let it fade out as well. I'm going to just follow some of it down here. Oh, got a little thick there. All right. A little more of a shadow on that one. And we'll just curve it up here, just to break it up a little bit. Looks awesome. Now let's go finish up Anger here. He just makes me smile every time. Follow along those eyes. The eyes on this side. Let's outline his outfit real quick. Go right along top of his shirt. And the collar, I want to make sure we get, even though you have a little bit of a shadow, maybe you didn't add the shadow, so you want to make sure you kind of outline that collar for him. Okay, now for this tie, go right over the top of it. Come on down. Just gonna outline some of it. You can keep going. Outline it all the way down if you want to. Oh no, I smeared some of Joy. It's okay. It happens. Okay, let's see, is Joy, I'm making sure she's dry. so we can do her eyes. She's going to start coming to life here. So let's go ahead and see if we can do her eyes. I think she's pretty dry. We just don't want to smear anything. I've already smeared her poor arm down there. I'll have to touch it up. Typically I would move my canvas around, so if you can, go for it. Move your canvas around. Okay, now let's do this one. I like to go all the way around before filling it in. There she is. Now she's looking at us. I always love putting the eyes on because it's when you start to see them come to life. So fun. Sadness just looking over. Fill in her eyes. Okay. Awesome. Now we'll fill in Inger's eyes over here. There he is. Now they're not so creepy anymore. Actually see him looking at us. Looking good. All right. Perfect. Let's see if we can go for just a minute here. We're going to take a little break from Joy. I want to make sure she's dry before we try and do her eyes. So what we're going to do is do Sadness's eyebrows. I love doing her little eyebrows. So all you're going to do is kind of a smile shape, starting right at the edge of her eye and curve up just like that. We'll do the same on the other side. You're going to just start at the top of her glasses and add a smile shape right off the canvas. Poor Sadness. And then we're going to do her nose, and it's like a little hook here. It's going to come up and hook around just like that, okay? And then her frown, she's so sad. Right there, and there she is. She's coming. Now let's see if we can do, I think we're gonna do Inger's mouth next. Okay, I don't know if she's quite dry yet, but we'll see. See if I can get a good angle. We're gonna go straight across. He has a little bit of a frown happening. Perfect. A little bit of a frown. And let's outline the top of his pants here. All right, let's see if we can do her eyes now. I don't think I'll smear it. Let's hope, right? There we go. Not bad. Ooh, we did it. All right, now let's do the other one. This one I'm going to come down on it this way. Always a little tricky here. Sometimes I have to add white later. Yep, I'm gonna add a little white to that one. Oh. But overall, I think we did it. Okay. Now we're gonna add just a little line there. Okay. Now let's add her little nose. Her nose comes pretty close. It's gonna come straight down from her eye here, and it's gonna come up in a triangle shape and back down. There's her little nose. Now let's see if we can do her smile without me smearing anything. I think we can do it. Not bad. And then we'll give her a big smile there. Oh my goodness, so cute. All right, let's do our little touch-ups. Miss Sarah has to do her touch-ups. I'll show you how we do it. Okay, so you're going to take some white, first of all. Because we have the skin here with some black, so we got to make sure we touch that up. Just kind of try and match it up. Didn't do too bad there. Match up the color a little bit. Yeah. Now around the nose, I'll put a little bit of shading here. There we go. And then under the nose, right, now we just have to fix that eye. But we gotta wait for it to dry. So while we wait a minute, we're gonna do our highlighting. And then you guys are about there. So awesome. So awesome. Do you need to give Sadness an eyelid though? So let's be sure to give her an eyelid over here as well. There. We're just going to do a rainbow shape right over her eyes. And a little bit an outline here for anger. There we go. Perfect. Okay, now let's do our highlighting. Love doing the highlighting because it's just so relaxing. Okay, first let's take some white and make ourselves a nice chocolate chip. And we're going to stamp a little reflection in each eye. That just does so much, doesn't it? I love it. Same with anger here. Stamp a little reflection. And we'll do the same with sadness. Hers is just right on the corner here of each. There we go. Cute. All right. Now let's just let her eyes dry for a minute while we do our highlighting. So I'm going to just do a little bit of light on the hair here. Here. Just helps things stand out a little bit where normally it wouldn't. Fix that highlight a little bit. Okay. You can use a detail brush for this if you want to. Some of our artists prefer that. So if you prefer to just use a detail brush to highlight, go for it. Now let's see. I'm trying to decide where I want to float. This is called floating. I'm going to do some here and angers. Lame. Do some there. Do some along the orange. And along top of the orange there. Floating just makes it so it's not as, as white. So it really depends on how much you want to show up. Do that there. We'll do a little bit in her hair here. Okay. So if you were to use your detail brush to do the highlighting, it goes pretty quick because you're just going to grab your detail brush like this. Just highlight like this. So a lot of times I like to use my detail brush a little more. Gives me a little more control of where I'm putting that light. On top. Okay. Let's see. Oh, let's put a little bit in Sadness's hair here. And there. Let's see. A little light here. Anywhere you feel. I like to do it on the top of the noses and mouth. Do it right along the top of her mouth here. Just helps some things to just stand out a little more. Put some along her dress here. Her shoulder. Let's see. Is that all we want to do here? Do a little bit here on her outfit. Okay. I think that might be it. Let me make sure that I'm not missing anything. I like to put some just under the eye a little bit there, just to give a little bit of light to the painting anywhere I can. All right. All right, guys. Now right here, I'm just going to fix the thickness of her eye there. If you ever have that little problem like I did, just go back with some white. You can just kind of touch up the thickness. And it looks awesome. All right, guys, I think we did it. I'm just making sure I didn't forget anything. Knowing me, I do a lot. Wow, that was quite the painting, right? I love this show. This painting is so cute. Definitely needs to go on display for all to see. Well done. Give yourself a huge pat on the back. That is amazing. And you did an incredible job. Good job. Be sure to sign your name. Find a little spot to put your signature. I think I'm going to put it right here in Sadness's little hair strand. I like to find a little hidden spot for my name because we're so proud of our work, right? That was a big deal. Be sure to give us a hashtag #MyLittlePaintBrush so we can see your work. If you enjoy this video, give us a thumbs up. We'd love to see what you did, and we hope you'll come back and paint with us again. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.